It is such a gift to having an informed public through the news coverage. There is no journalism like the CBC journalists. The incredible local journalism that shows up our history, our local issues, our local voices. It's uniquely Canadian, it's local, and it's important, especially at a time when the rest of our media is largely owned by multinational and American owned for-profit businesses. And if we want to protect Canadian culture, we need to protect the CBC. The value of online news without a paywall is incredibly important. As more and more media is being bought up by international sort of media conglomerates, and then they put paywalls on what used to be open access, and we're getting less local coverage. They're clearing out their newsrooms. We're just getting stories that are shared across so many newspapers across Canada. That's what you get in the private media. But CBC online, anybody can read their stories, anybody can get informed. You don't need to pay for a paywall. And the value of having an informed public, it is a public good. We pay $33 a year per person for the CBC. That is an absolute bargain. And whether you personally listen to CBC or not, the value of living in a society where people are sharing information openly, and where you don't have to pay to get access to what's going on in your government, where you've got journalists who are independently holding the government to account, $33 is an absolute bargain. And I also want to speak up for CBC TV and CBC Gem. So if you're looking to get out of American streaming services like Netflix and Disney Plus and all of that, just think about looking at CBC Gem. It's free. It's provided for the public benefit. We've paid for it through our taxes, and it's a bargain. And it's beautiful Canadian programming.
Hi, Heath McDonald, MP for Malpeque with the Liberal Party of Canada. CBC is extremely important, and it's extremely important in a couple of ways. One, it's our local news organization, and we have a small province, and we rely heavily on what's taking place across the province, and CBC does a relatively good job on that. But the second thing I think, Pat, is with all the misinformation that's out there today, I think we need journalism, local journalism, to ensure that people do get the facts and not fiction. And we're seeing a lot of that, and I can see it door to door. People are concerned. There's a lot of anxiety that's happening and taking place. And look, if our local journalism can clarify or put facts to as opposed to fiction in their broadcasts each and every night, especially programs like Compass, but Radio Canada is another one, the Gem. I mean, this is what we need right now in a time of uncertainty, especially. There's a lot of misinformation, Pat, and it's a struggle to ensure that people receive the appropriate information. And then really, one of the only ways you can do that is local journalism. Let's be honest, we may not. As a politician, do I always enjoy what I hear on CBC? Definitely not. But I know that there's going to be, more factual issues as opposed to fictional issues. And I think the internet has really changed the way people respond in their day-to-day lives. And it's not always good in some cases. It can be positive, but in a lot of cases, there's so much misinformation that it certainly plays on people's anxiety levels.
I'm Cassie Mackay, the NDP candidate for Malpeque. To me, CBC PEI is very important. It's usually where I go first if I want to know anything going on in the local news. I like that there's a variety of formats for everyone based off of their preferences, but for me, I tend to go online first as it's usually the most accessible option for me. I believe that if CBC PEI were cut, then we would be missing out on a lot of local news coverage. As to my understanding, most people do go to CBC first. Yes, there is Saltwire, but that requires a subscription, and most people just prefer on-demand access like what CBC offers.
Hi, my name is Hilda Baughan, and I am the PPC candidate for the Riding of MALPEQUE. I'm maybe a little bit ashamed to admit this, but I've never watched CBC in Prince Edward Island on the television. I don't actually watch any news on television, and my television hasn't been on like in a year. If I go into Google, then I'll see the headlines for the CBC, and it's more local news, and I like that. And I'm not a big fan of television news, and so CBC is included. CBC in particular has been a bit hard to I'm going to say nailed down, right? As part of the PPC, we have contacted CBC to cover events, and we've been ignored. And like events like when Maxime comes to the island, I get my news from just various things on the internet. Okay, so alternative media. And in that, like as part of alternative media, I mean, like, even like Facebook or what is it? Sorry, Twitter and that, right? And so I am up on that, and like it's I mean, I get a fair amount from Epic Times, well, Twitter and Telegram. Those are the only ones that the only alternative media that whatever, social media that I engage in.